Yo, what's good, Laker Nation? Listen, I need every single one of you to sit down right now. I don't care if you're at work, I don't care if you're in the car, I don't care if you're about to go to sleep. Put everything on pause because what I'm about to tell you is going to shake the entire NBA to its core. I was watching First Take this morning, like I do every single morning, and something happened that I am still trying to process. I literally had to rewind the clip 3 times because I could not believe what was coming out of this man's mouth. Anthony Davis went on national television and said things about the Lakers, about LeBron James, about his time in Dallas, about the Wizards, about everything that no one in the history of the NBA has ever said on live TV like that. This is the kind of interview that changes franchises, that rewrites legacies, that makes front offices pick up the phone at 2 in the morning. So buckle up because this is about to be the craziest thing you've heard all year. Hey, what's up everyone? Real quick before we get into everything, that like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly the biggest way to support this content. Every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. So here's the setup. Anthony Davis was scheduled to appear on First Take with Stephen A. Smith. Now, everybody knew this appearance was coming because the Wizards just won the #1 pick in the 2026 draft lottery. They're about to draft AJ DeBonsa. They already have Trae Young and Alex Sarr. And the biggest question in the entire league right now is whether AD is going to stay in Washington or demand a trade this summer. Chris Haynes literally went on air a couple weeks ago and said he thinks there's a good chance Davis ends up somewhere else before next season starts. The man played only 20 games with the Mavericks this year before they shipped him to Washington in that 8-player trade, and then he never even put on a Wizards jersey because of the ligament damage in his left hand from January. So AD has been sitting, watching, thinking, and apparently building up an absolute volcano of emotions because when Stephen A. asked him a simple question about how he felt about the upcoming season in Washington, everything exploded. The interview started normal enough. Stephen A. asked about the finger, asked about the rehab, asked about how the lottery win changed things for the Wizards franchise, and AD gave textbook answers. He said the finger is healing well. He said he's excited about the young talent. He said AJ DeBonsa is going to be special. Standard stuff. But then Stephen A. leaned in the way he does when he's about to drop a bomb. He looked AD dead in the eye and said, "Anthony, I have to ask you about Los Angeles. The Lakers just got swept by OKC. LeBron might retire. They don't have a true defensive anchor. Do you ever think about what could have been?" And that's when everything changed. AD's entire face shifted, his jaw tightened, he looked down at his hands for what felt like 10 seconds of pure silence on live television. The studio got so quiet you could hear the air conditioning humming in the background. And then Anthony Davis looked up and said something that made my jaw hit the floor. "Stephen A., I'm going to be real with you. I'm tired of pretending everything is okay when it's not. I watched those Lakers playoff games from my couch with a busted finger and I felt physically sick. Not because I wanted the Lakers to lose, but because I knew what was missing. I knew that if I was out there, that series doesn't end in a sweep. I knew that if I was protecting that rim, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doesn't walk into the paint whenever he wants. I knew that if I was setting screens with Luka, if I was running the pick and roll with LeBron, that team doesn't just roll over and die in 4 games. And the thing that kills me, the thing that keeps me up at night, is that I shouldn't have been watching from my couch in the first place. I should still be a Laker. Bro, I literally almost fell off my chair. Stephen A.'s eyes went so wide I thought they were gonna pop out of his head. Molly Karen put her hand over her mouth. The entire studio went completely silent, and AD wasn't done, not even close. He leaned forward and his voice got harder, more intense, like he'd been holding this in for over a year. "Let me talk about what happened in Dallas, because I'm done protecting people. When the Lakers traded me in February 2025, they told me it was a basketball decision. They said they needed to build around Luka, and I respected it even though it hurt because I gave everything to that franchise. I won them a championship in 2020. I put my body on the line every single night. But you know what nobody wants to talk about? The fact that trading me was the biggest mistake the Lakers have made since they let Shaq walk in 2004. Because look at what happened. They got Luka, and Luka is incredible. Don't get me wrong, the man averaged 33.5 points this year, but he blew out his hamstring in April and wasn't available for a single playoff game. Not one. And when the Thunder came calling in the second round, the Lakers had absolutely no answer for Chet Holmgren, no answer for SGA, no rim protection, no interior defense, nothing. They got swept 4-0, and it wasn't even competitive until Game 4. Oklahoma City went 8-0 against the Lakers this year, combining regular season and playoffs. 8-0. You think that happens if I'm on that roster? Now Stephen A tried to push back a little. He said, Anthony, the Lakers did go 53-29 this season. They won the Pacific Division. They had back-to-back 50-win seasons for the first time since 2010 and 2011. And AD just shook his head slowly like he was talking to someone who didn't understand basketball. 53 wins means nothing if you get embarrassed in the second round. You know what I see when I look at that Lakers roster? I see DeAndre Ayton, a talented big man who has all the physical tools in the world, but doesn't have the killer instinct to anchor a championship defense. I've played with Ayton-type players my whole career. They give you 18 and 10 on a Tuesday night against Sacramento and then disappear when the lights are brightest. In the playoffs against OKC, who was protecting the rim? Who was switching onto guards? Who was making Shea think twice about driving into the lane? Nobody. Because Ayton doesn't have that gene. He was supposed to be the guy that replaced me, and he is not that guy. I'm sorry, but he's just not. And I don't say that to be disrespectful. I say that because it's the truth, and everybody in that locker room knows it. He paused for a second and then went even further. And let me talk about the coaching situation. I love JJ Redick as a person. He's a smart basketball mind. He got them to 53 wins and back-to-back division titles. But here's the reality. JJ Redick has never coached a team past the second round. 2 years in a row, now the Lakers have fallen short when it matters. Last year they lost to Minnesota in the first round. This year they got swept by OKC. At what point do we stop talking about regular season success and start asking whether this coaching staff can actually win a championship? Rob Pelinka himself said after the sweep that he wasn't satisfied. He said this is a market with championship expectations. Well, guess what? Championships require a certain kind of player, a certain kind of presence, and I'm not trying to be arrogant when I say this, but that presence was me. The interview went to commercial. I thought when it came back, someone from the production team would have talked to AD, maybe calmed him down, maybe told him to dial it back a little. I thought maybe his agent would have texted him saying, bro, what are you doing? But no. When they came back from commercial, Anthony Davis was even more fired up. He was sitting on the edge of his seat, his hands clasped together, and you could see the veins in his forearms popping. This man was not done. Stephen A. came back and asked the question that everyone in America was thinking. Anthony, are you saying you want to go back to the Lakers? And AD took a deep breath, and what came out of his mouth next literally gave me chills. Stephen A., let me tell you something. When I was in Dallas, I was miserable. They traded Kyrie Irving before the season. They drafted Cooper Flagg, and he's going to be great, but the team was 12-20 at Christmas and going nowhere. I was averaging 20 and 11 on a bad team with a finger that was bothering me before it fully tore. Then they shipped me to Washington without even calling me first. I found out from Twitter, I'm a 10-time All-Star. I'm a champion. I'm on the NBA's 75th anniversary team. And I found out I was being traded to a team that won 18 games last year from a notification on my phone. Do you know how that feels? Do you know what that does to a man's pride? His voice actually cracked a little bit when he said that, and I'm not going to lie, I felt something in my chest watching it. This wasn't just basketball talk anymore. This was a man pouring out everything he'd been holding inside for over a year. But here's what I need to say, and I need everyone to hear this. When I think about where I belong, when I think about where my legacy lives, when I think about where I was the happiest and the most dominant I've ever been, there's only one answer. Los Angeles, the 2020 championship, the bubble, everything LeBron and I built together, that wasn't just basketball. That was brotherhood. That was family. And I'm not gonna pretend like I don't want that back, because I do. I want it back more than anything. Now, let me tell you what happened in the studio at this point, because it was absolute pandemonium. Stephen A. Smith stood up from his chair. He literally stood up. He turned to the camera and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, you are witnessing history. Anthony Davis just publicly declared that his heart is in Los Angeles." And AD didn't deny it. He didn't backtrack. He didn't say, "That's not what I meant." He just nodded slowly and said, "My heart never left." But then AD went even deeper. He started talking about LeBron, and this is where things got really emotional. LeBron James is 41 years old. He just became an unrestricted free agent. He averaged 20 and 7 this year. He led that team past Houston in the first round like a man possessed. He had 24 points and 12 rebounds in what might have been his last NBA game ever. And you know what breaks my heart? That it might end like this, getting swept, watching from the bench as the clock runs out. LeBron James deserves better than that. He deserves to go out on top, and I'm not saying I can guarantee a championship, but I can guarantee that if we're together, if we're on the same court one more time, nobody in this league is going to want to see us in a 7-game series. Nobody. I'm gonna be honest with you right now. I've been covering basketball for a long time, and I've never seen anything like this. This wasn't a subtle hint. This wasn't a cryptic Instagram post. This was Anthony Davis on national television in front of millions of people saying, "I want to come home. I want to play with LeBron again. I want to be a Laker." And then AD dropped the final bomb. The thing that nobody saw coming. The thing that made this interview go from historic to legendary. I spoke to LeBron 2 nights ago. It was late, past midnight. We talked for almost 2 hours, and I'm not going to tell you everything we said because some things are private. But I will tell you this, LeBron told me that if I come back, he'll play one more year. He said he's not retiring if there's a real chance to win another championship. He said he'll put off everything, the business ventures, the Hollywood projects, all of it, for one more run. And when LeBron James tells you something, you believe it. That man has never lied to me in his life. Bro, the studio erupted. Stephen A. literally grabbed his head with both hands. The producers cut to a wide shot and you could see people in the background with their mouths open. This was the biggest bomb dropped on First Take since Kevin Durant's Cupcake Gate. Anthony Davis just revealed that LeBron James will come back for one more season if Davis returns to Los Angeles. That is the single biggest free agency domino in the entire NBA right now. Now, let me break down what this means because the implications are absolutely enormous. First of all, the Wizards are now in a position where their franchise player just went on national TV and basically said he doesn't want to be there. Michael Winger, the Wizards president, literally just told the media days ago that the plan is to keep AD and pair him with AJ Debinsa, Trae Young, and Alex Sarr. But how do you keep a player who just told the world his heart is in Los Angeles? The leverage has completely shifted. The Wizards have to trade him now, and every team in the league knows it. Second, the Lakers just got handed the keys to the kingdom. Rob Pelinka said he wasn't satisfied with the season. He said championship expectations are the standard. Well, here's your championship move, Rob. Anthony Davis is telling you he wants to come home. LeBron is telling you he'll run it back one more time. You have Luka Doncic recovering from his hamstring and he'll be healthy by training camp. Imagine a roster of Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. That's not just a super team. That's a historically great team. That's 3 of the most talented players of the last 2 decades on the same roster. Third, and this is the part that really gets me, the emotional weight of this whole thing is off the charts. LeBron James at 41 years old, potentially playing his final season. Anthony Davis coming home for one last ride. The redemption of a partnership that brought a championship to LA in 2020, but was torn apart by front office decisions. This isn't just a basketball story. This is a movie. This is the kind of story that Hollywood literally writes scripts about, and it's happening in real life in Hollywood's backyard. Now let me talk about the trade mechanics because people are already asking how this would work. The Wizards need to move AD. They've already committed to a youth movement with Dybantsa. Trae Young at 27 is the oldest of their core, and Alex Sarr is only 20. AD's $58.5 million next year doesn't fit their timeline at all. So what do the Lakers send back? Well, they've got pieces. DeAndre Ayton's contract is in the $30 million range, and he's exactly the kind of young, physical big man that a rebuilding team might want to develop. Rui Hachimura had 25 points in that final game against OKC, and he's a solid wing who's only 28. You package those two with some draft capital, and suddenly you've got the bones of a deal. The Lakers already showed with the Luka trade that Rob Pelinka isn't afraid to make franchise-altering moves. This would be the sequel to that blockbuster, and honestly, it might be even bigger. And let me address the elephant in the room because I know some of you are thinking it. Whoa, but AD is always hurt. I hear you, I do. The man played only 20 games this year. He missed the entire second half of the season and all the playoffs with that finger injury. His injury history is long and well documented. But here's what I'll say to that. Every single time Anthony Davis has been healthy for a playoff run, he has been absolutely dominant. In 2020, he averaged 27.7 points, 9.7 rebounds, and 3.5 assists in the finals. He hit the game-winning 3 against Denver in the conference finals. When this man is right, when his body is cooperating, there might not be 5 players in the history of the game who can match his two-way impact. And he's telling you his finger is healed, his body feels better than it has in years. At 33, he's actually younger than LeBron was when he came to LA in the first place. So the injury risk is real, but the reward is a championship.